Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're taking a really close look at a topic that honestly affects every single one of us, the architecture of wealth ownership. We're going to dismantle that traditional, deeply flawed financial script that society hands us, and we're going to use direct insights from our source material to figure out the actual nuts and bolts mechanics of wealth.
So, why do most people never become rich? I know, it's a pretty provocative question. But let's get one thing straight right out of the gate here. If you aren't exactly where you want to be financially right now, it is not because you aren't intelligent, and it is certainly not because you don't work hard. Seriously, you are probably working incredibly hard. So what's the actual issue here? Well, to figure that out, we need to completely interrupt the usual way we think about money.
And here's the core thesis of our explainer today. They are playing a completely different game. Think about it like this. Imagine trying to win a game of chess, but you're strictly following the rules for checkers. You're going to lose every single time, right? The wealthy aren't just playing the game better, they are playing by an entirely different rulebook. For most of us, wealth seems just out of reach simply because we're following a financial script that was literally never designed to make us wealthy in the first place. It is not about grinding harder, it's about recognizing this invisible ceiling hovering over the current game you're playing. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The broken script. 2. The 4 wealth traps. 3. Buying versus owning. 4. The simple wealth formula. And finally, number 5, the power of compounding. Section 1. The broken financial script. Let's look at the daily cycle for, well, millions of people. You wake up, you go to work, you earn a paycheck, you pay your bills, and then you just repeat. That entire approach relies on trading your time for money. And honestly, it seems super logical, right? You work an hour, you get paid for an hour. But the wealthy approach completely flips this on its head. Instead of trading time, they focus intensely on owning things that make money, assets. This way, the gears keep turning and generating income even when they aren't physically in the room.
Now this right here illustrates exactly why trading time for money is a trap. 24. There are only 24 hours in a day. It is a stark, absolutely mathematically rigid ceiling. I don't care how incredibly talented or hardworking you are, eventually you hit this wall. If you trade time for money, your income has an absolute, non-negotiable limit.
So the obvious question is, how do you break that 24-hour ceiling? You do it by acquiring assets that work the night shift for you. Think about it. A rental property collects rent whether you're awake or dead asleep. A business serves its customers without needing your constant physical involvement. A stock portfolio, it's growing while you're snoring. You basically stop working for money, and you start owning things that make the money for you.
Let's move on to Section 2, the 4 wealth traps. You see, trading time for money is just the first trap. There are 3 more we really need to watch out for. Take lifestyle inflation. What happens the second most people get a raise? They immediately run out and buy a bigger car or take way more expensive vacations. They get stuck in this never-ending paycheck-to-paycheck upgrade cycle. But the wealthy, they do the exact opposite. They take that extra income and buy assets. They're basically planting seeds that are going to grow into even more income later. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the third trap, a total lack of financial education. Traditional schooling spends years, literally decades, teaching us how to be really good, obedient employees. But it completely ignores wealth building. They leave out taxes, cash flow, leverage, the whole shebang. Because of this massive blind spot, taking the time to pursue your own independent financial education becomes this incredibly unfair competitive advantage. The wealthy know a simple truth. Better knowledge leads to better decisions, and better decisions create wealth. And that brings us to the 4th trap, fear. Fear of losing money, fear of failure, fear of what other people might think. This fear literally paralyzes people. It causes them to freeze and avoid all risk, just staying exactly where they are because it feels safe. But here is the kicker. Staying completely safe is actually incredibly risky. Why? Because inflation is quietly, constantly eating away at your purchasing power in the background. The wealthy, they don't freeze. They take calculated risks. They study opportunities, they jump in, and most importantly, they learn from their mistakes.
Section 3. Buying versus owning.
To actually address the root cause of why so many stay broke, we have to totally rewire our mindset. And it really comes down to shifting just one single word. The average person looks at their bank account and asks, "What can I buy?" That is a mindset focused purely 100% on consumption. The wealthy person looks at their money and asks, "What can I own?"
It seems small, but this tiny shift completely reorients your entire life toward ownership. It shifts your focus to acquiring assets that actually appreciate and compound over time.
Section 4. The Simple Wealth Formula.
So, how do we fix all this? Well, the prescription is actually surprisingly simple. Step 1, earn more. Step 2, spend less. Step 3, invest the difference. And Step 4, repeat for years. Seriously, that's it. The big secret isn't some complex, magical trick. The secret is that very last step, repetition. You have to execute this strategy consistently. It's not some flashy get-rich-quick scheme. It's a structural, mathematical certainty if you just apply it over time.
Section 5. The Power of Compounding.
This right here is the engine. This is what actually makes that simple 4-step formula work. Compounding is the process where your assets generate income, and then that income buys even more assets, drastically accelerating your growth. It's exactly like planting a tree. At first, you put the seed in the dirt, and nothing. Progress feels agonizingly slow. You're watering dirt. But eventually, compounding takes over, and that tiny little seed becomes a massive, unshakable tree. Wealth follows that exact same pattern. You just have to have the patience to let it grow.
All right, let's summarize your new reality. Here are the new rules you're playing by. 1. Wealth comes from ownership, not from trading your precious time. 2. Assets generate income, which frees you from that brutal 24-hour trap. 3. Compounding heavily rewards your patience. And 4. Consistent actions repeated over long periods of time build ultimate financial freedom. Look, you now know the actual rules of the game. You are no longer bound by that broken script.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. The question is no longer why most people never become rich, because you know the answer to that now. The real question is, what are you going to do differently? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what you build.